I woke up to a nice surprise of another day of good weather, with rain coming in the afternoon, just a chance of it every day for the next little while, but seems that the weatherman isn't always right, so I got an idea in my head. What I was saying yesterday as I was making my video about thinking too hard about what's ahead of me and kind of knowing everywhere that I'm going from here on out. I realized to break that feeling, I should get off the beaten path and go somewhere that I wasn't planning on going. So up the road from Grand Falls, where I spent the night, is a place called Bishop's Falls. And there's a road that goes south from there all the way to the south shore of Newfoundland, cutting straight through the wilderness, 200 kilometers each way, so another full tank of gas extra to take this little side trip, but it got me excited. It's called the Bay d'Espoir Highway, and it goes down to a place called Hermitage, which is just a town of maybe 400 and some people, just a tiny little place. So I got it in my head that I should go down there and get off the beaten path and do something I wasn't expecting to. It's just a rough road through the wilderness, like parts of it kinda bumpy, a little bit of dirt road along it, but otherwise pretty good paved highway. Just a little bumpy in the construction zones, really. Not a whole lot to see or visit along the highway through the middle of the province. It didn't really have much at all along the way. No little villages or towns, or not even a gas station. I had to make sure to stop and fill up before I headed off that way, because I might not have made it down there if I didn't. So it was a nice drive. The speed limit's a little lower, so got to take my time nicely, and it's just vast open woods and mountains off in the distance, but they cut the road through the flattest part of the province, seems to be. So yeah, I wasn't planning on taking little side trips really, but staying on the Trans-Canada, the main highway through, was just starting to be a bit of a bummer. So I made my way down there, and all along the road, there's mostly just a few rock quarries, maybe a few lumber camps, a few resource access roads, but not a whole lot to speak of. It was nice to get out into some thick wild here. I thought that along the Trans-Canada I would find wild like this, but it's been settled quite well for being where it is. Like the roads through Newfoundland here, the main roads anyways, kind of create a big M shape. So this one I'm going down is the middle leg of the M, and it's pretty much the only access to the south shore other than the other tips of other ends of the road at Channel Portabasque, and then over towards St. John's. So yeah, I went down this middle path right through the heart of the province, and it got me into a better mood. Yesterday I was feeling a bit disillusioned about the trip. The headache that I had all day probably didn't help at all. It definitely contributed to the downer I was feeling, but getting out here today was what I needed to bring the good feeling back. Vast empty land with just the one track of highway cutting through it. Still pretty hilly and lots of nice mountains off in the distance, but nothing much really to stop at. I thought about stopping at a little lake or river or something along the way and putting the canoe in, but instead I just pushed on and did the 2.5 hours straight down to the coast. And when I got to Hermitage, there wasn't much to speak of there to do. Like, not much to see either. I did a little bit of reading, and their main business that they have down there is a big salmon farm, which I ended up having to turn around in the parking lot of because I sort of ended up at the end of my road. Then I pulled off, and there was a guy stopped in his truck right there beside me, and I asked him, is there anything worth seeing around here? What should I check out? And he kind of shook his head like, not much really for you here, but if you go back to the split of the road just a short ways up and take the left-hand turn instead of the right-hand turn like you did to get here, you'll keep going and get to a place called Seal Cove. So I went that way and checked it out, and it's just an awesome spot. I'm getting ahead of myself with the voiceover here. In the video, we're still just going through the mountains and through the valleys and through the forest of the interior. And it started raining a little bit as I got closer to the coast, but not too bad. Just enough that I had to pull over every once in a while to clean the camera off. A little bit misty, but nothing like it was the other night. I had worries about the camper leaking. It was raining so hard the other night when I was in Portabasque, but not much worse than that since. Forecast keeps calling for rain, and then it's just a little bit of mist like this, which I guess is probably what they get a lot of the time out here, being right on the ocean. So much moisture in the air. Oh, you feel it in the lungs, kinda. I'm starting to feel it more and more the more time I spend out here by the ocean. Not smoking much more than I usually do, but my lungs feel heavy some days just from the ocean air. It's beautiful though. Just an amazing piece of the country that I don't think enough people get out to see. I only passed a handful of cars going each way down this road. Doesn't seem like a whole lot of people make their way out here, and I can understand that. It's some rugged countryside. Beautiful to look at, but not much to do. See lots of people riding around on four-wheelers, and that's probably the most fun that there is to have around. So this here that you're seeing now is the town of Hermitage. Just a tiny little pocket out in the middle of nowhere, pretty much. From here, there's a ferry you can take to get to all little coastal towns that don't even have road access. But it's just a passenger ferry mostly. I don't think I'd be able to get my truck on, or it might cost an arm and a leg to get my truck on it. So down here is where I had to turn around, and the guy gave me the tip about backtracking towards Seal Cove, and I'm glad I stopped to ask him. Otherwise, I might have just wasted my day without getting out to the real gem that I found out here that you'll see in a few minutes in the video here. Yeah, it was raining just a little bit, but not enough to worry about. And it's just a beautiful spot. Not too many people, and I don't think that they get a whole lot of visitors, so I had a lot of people rubbernecking as I went by. Most everyone seemed to be looking like, who is that and what are they doing here? And where I'm parked for the night too, at Seal Cove, there's been dozens of people drive by on dirt bikes and four-wheelers and in cars and trucks, and every single one of them I see cranes their neck over to see, what's this rig parked here for? I haven't had anyone come over and ask me in person yet, but I kind of wish they would. I'd love to meet some locals here. This is the spot that I decided to park for the night, just off down a little dirt road, and there's a four-wheeler trail that goes over a bridge to the rocky beach where I took the kitty out for a walk. Those rocks are bigger than they look, like most of them good soccer ball sized, so walking around on it was a little bit rough. But the kitty made it. She got pretty tired eventually, and I realized, like, this is a much harder workout for her than it is for me. So she let me know when she was tired. She climbed up my leg, and then when she wanted back down, she just found a little cave in the rock to hang out. So we slowly made it back to the truck. I had something to eat, and then I got looking at that mountain off in the distance, wondering to myself just how far away or how close it is, so I started hiking towards it. And I think I could have made it to the top, really, if it didn't start raining and mosquitoes were attacking me pretty good. I walked a good half hour towards it, and then kind of spooked myself thinking about moose. Like, there could very well be some moose that live out here. There's a patch of woods that I can see far off, nestled between the two mountains that I was walking towards, and that's probably where they'd be hanging out until evening. And it was 6 o'clock when I started walking, so it's prime time really for them to be getting out and walking around. The animals like that are really most active in the evening. So I really spooked myself about what a moose would do if he saw me. They don't really abide by the whole, if I leave you alone, you leave me alone thing. A moose can be absolutely savage, and there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide out here. Not that I could run if I wanted to, because that ground is not as smooth and hard and flat as it looks. Looks like it's hard ground with moss all over it, but it's moss that's a foot thick, and your foot sinks into it as you go. So I got a bit of a soaker, and I spooked myself, and I was tired of the bugs, so I headed back. Had a nice good 1 hour hike, and this is where I'm parked for the night. It's just beautiful.